All right. Now today's lesson, we're going to be covering once again, we're still doing MAFS 5 NF11, which is adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. But we're also going to be talking about MAFS 5 NF12, which is specifically word problems, okay, where you're still adding and subtracting. Now the difference is that now we're going to add and subtract fractions from whole numbers using equivalence and number line strategies. And we're really going to just kind of focus on number line strategies for this lesson. Essential question: how can I add fractions to or subtract fractions from whole numbers using a number line as a strategy? All right. So first thing, let's come up here and let's number a number line. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, this is a pretty simple problem, but it's meant simple so we can see the strategy. If I have 1 whole plus 1 and 3/4, obviously 1 plus 1 is 2 and 3/4. Same thing with the model here. 1 whole, 2 wholes, 3/4. Now the way this would look on the model, on the number line, I'm going to change color so we can see it. I would go here, which is 2. And then I've got quarters, so I'm going to split this up into quarters. And now I ended up with 1, 2, 3/4. So this would end up being 2 and 3/4. Now our next one, let's go ahead and number a number line. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I can see the first one is 2. And I'm going to add 3 to that. 1, 2, 3, which gives me 5. And then from here, I'm going tenths. 1, 2, 3 tenths. So we can see our answer right here would be 5 and 3 tenths. Now up here, obviously 2 wholes plus 3 wholes is 5 and 3 tenths. But they want you to see it on my number line. Now let's go ahead and see what subtraction is like on this. Now I'm taking 1 whole and I'm subtracting 1/4. So I'm going to split this whole up into quarters. And this would be 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. And I am subtracting 1/4 from a whole. So our answer would be 3/4. Now the way I like to think about this numerically was, since I'm subtracting 1/4, I know my whole would be 4/4 minus 1/4, which gives me 3/4. Okay, our next number line, 0, 1, 2, 3. And it says we have 2. That's 2. And I'm going to subtract 3/5. So I'm going to take this whole, split into fifths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It says I'm subtracting 3. So 1, 2, 3/5. Now I can see that this is 2/5. So it'll be 1 and 2/5. Now, on this one here, where I like to see it, I know 1/5, excuse me, 1 whole would be 5/5. So 2 wholes would be 10/5. Now I'm subtract 3/5. That's going to equal 7/5. If I'm going to write this as a mixed number, I would be 5/5 plus 2/5 would equal 7/5. And I know this 5/5 is equal to 1 whole. So once again, this would be equal to 1 and 2/5. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3. And we're at 3, and I'm subtracting 1 whole. And I'm going to subtract 2/3. And there's 1 2/3. So that means this would be equal to 1 and 1/3. Now, let's notice this is a whole number and a mixed number. So if I take the whole number, and I'm just going to take 3 minus 1, that's going to give me 2, but I still got to subtract the 2/3 here. Just like we did here, 3 minus 2, and I still had 2/3 to subtract. So I know 2 is in thirds is actually equal to 6/3, because 1/3 would be 3/3. Actually, 1 whole would be 3/3. And I'm going to subtract 2/3, which gives me 4/3. And I know 4/3 would be 3/3 plus 1/3, which equals 1 1/3. Now, using a number line, using the converting the fractions to equivalents, it depends on which one is best for you as a mathematician. Okay.